Money Matters is proudly brought to you by DCGsa, finding solutions to your debt problems. Talk to us for professional, affordable assistance.
Can't believe I missed the payment. What if they come for the car? How will I get to work?
If you're feeling trapped by debt and missed payments, there is hope. DCGsa specializes in debt review services that protects your assets. Don't use your car or your house. Start with a free assessment today.
Free assessment. Maybe there's hope after all.
DCGsa, award-winning debt assistance since 2009. Call DCGsa today, 086 100 1047.
This is what I need. It's time to make that call.
Well, that exciting moment has come for today. Good afternoon. If you're tuning in for the first time, look at the family. It is time for Money Matters with DCGsa. I've got Casper in studio where we talk about real money issues affecting real South African families. Casper, how are you this afternoon?
I'm blessed in you, Mr. J Subs. And it's something new to learn after Mr. K.
Well, just say it'll be easy to remember because J comes before K in the alphabet.
Good one.
All right. Well, so today's topic is about one of those conversations that many people find to be simple. It sounds simple, but it can make a massive difference in someone's financial future. We're talking about debt review payments, why they matter, what happens when you miss them, and why you should never just short pay or skip a payment without speaking to your debt counselor first. And of course, like I've mentioned, our trusted debt expert, Casper le Grange from DCGsa, is in studio. And Casper is a registered debt counselor with the National Credit Regulator with more than 15 years of experience helping South Africans regain control of their finances. So, Casper?
Oh, Mr. J. Yeah, I can't get rid of the Mr. K. So, Jay, no, it's always good to be here. Great to be with you and the Link FM listeners. You know, educating our local community is at the heart of everything we do at DCGsa as well. So today's topic is very important because, you know, it's something that pops up a lot. And we're here to address money matters and how to deal with it. And one of those big issues is one missed payment can create a much bigger problem if not handled correctly.
Well, okay, let's start with the obvious. People are always under pressure. It's a reality in South Africa, even now, the recent war between the US and I believe it is Iran. And food, fuel, electricity, school fees, rent, everything feels expensive. And so many listeners may be thinking, I'm already in debt review. Surely if I miss one payment, just one for the month, coming up, maybe I'm not going to make ends meet. Is it not the end of the world? Why is this such an important conversation?
And that's exactly why we need to speak about it. You know, many consumers enter debt review because they are already financially stressed. Debt review gives them structured legal protection and a realistic repayment plan. But debt review is not a payment holiday. So when you enter this process, it's there to stick your hand up to say, listen, I'm struggling. I want to pay all my debts, but I can't currently pay them. So it's a legal and financial rehabilitation process. Your monthly payment is the heartbeat of this process. So it's your second chance. If that, or even short paid without communication, it can affect the entire rearrangement with your credit provider because they've already given you a second chance.
Okay, so it's not just a listed debit order. It's not as small as that. It actually is bigger than that, eh?
Exactly. Think of it like building a bridge. Every monthly payment is one brick in that bridge to debt freedom. If you remove bricks without telling the engineer, the bridge becomes unstable. Debt review works because the debt counselor negotiates with creditors based on what the consumer can afford. But that affordability plan must be honored. If payment is missed, the credit provider may say the consumer is no longer complying, and that's the last thing you want as a consumer.
Okay, so maybe somebody's listening and they're similarly minded to how I am. Practicality. What are the possible consequences if somebody misses a debt review payment?
Well, there's a few possibilities of consequences, and I want the listeners to understand them clearly. Firstly, your payment arrangement can fall into arrears, even though you are under debt review. The credit providers are expecting the agreed payment, just like your normal payments if you were out of debt review. So if you're accepting or expecting a payment from somebody, you're expecting your salary to to come in and it's not coming in, it will be a problem. Secondly, the credit provider may start pushing for termination of the debt review process of that specific account. Under the National Credit Act, there are circumstances where credit providers may attempt to terminate the debt review process and to proceed with legal action if the consumer is not complying. And then thirdly, if the debt review protection falls away on an account, you may face legal collections or judgments, or even repossession risk on assets like a vehicle or home, depending on the account type and the stage of that matter.
So if one were to look at it, it is the danger not only of the mispayment, it is what the mispayment can unlock.
That is the right way to say it. The mispayment opens the door to bigger problems. It can also delay your clearance certificate because debt review only ends properly once the relevant debts are settled in accordance to the process. So, Jay, just to give you an idea, when you enter this process, everything needs to be paid up except for a bond. The bond needs to be up to date. So if your unsecured debts, your loans, credit cards, all of that, your vehicle is paid up. When a debt counselor issues that clearance certificate, that Form 19, it expunges any negative data on your profile, and you can immediately apply for credit again, be it for a house, be it for a vehicle. Maybe it's to send your kids to universities. So do not delay that. And a missed or a short payment can extend the timeline and create extra admin, extra stress. And I remember, especially in COVID, people were jumping up and down for payment holidays, but they didn't realize that interest keeps on running. So maybe 3 months missed payments can extend that specific account for up to another 12 months. So you adding on, yes, things might be tight now, but hold in there and push through, because rather pushing through now for this 3 difficult months than to extend it with another 12 months.
So maybe there is a group of people, maybe a few individuals on a smaller scale who say, I didn't miss the payment completely, I paid something. What about short pay?
Oh, the same even outside of debt review. It's all about your credit profile and your commitment to payment. So short paying can still be a problem. However, it is better than not paying a payment at all. Let's say you agreed on a debt repayment of 5,000 Rand, but you only paid 2,500 Rand without discussing it. Remember, the systems do not automatically know why or what has happened, and credit providers do not automatically know if there was a valid reason. So you keeping quiet and just paying a short payment and not communicating with anybody can also create a similar problem than a missed payment.
So the consumer may think, at least I paid something, but the credit provider might see this consumer did not keep their end of the agreement.
Correct. Partial payment is better than disappearing, but it does not replace communication. The golden rule is do not surprise your debt counselor. If something changes, speak up early.
Let's say somebody is listening today, knows that they're going to be short this month. What would you say to them in this particular scenario that they're going to find themselves in, that they shouldn't be going towards, but let's just say they've already done it all, they're on their way there?
They must contact their debt counselor. And remember, not everybody is always consumers of DCGsas, but we are educating our community. So communicate with your debt counselor immediately before that payment date, if possible. Not after 3 missed calls, not after a credit provider threatens legal action, not after 2 months, immediately. At DCGsa, we always say, the earlier we know, the more options we have.
So I do understand DCGsa does value time. And then what can the debt counselor actually do?
Depending on the situation, the debt counselor may be able to explain the risk clearly, check whether the payment can be caught up, guide the client on what proof is needed. So maybe something happened and we need proofs. Check whether there is credit life insurance or income protectors. In some credit products, you might have protection that might pay your debt, and that is what your debt counselor is for. Communicate, help the client understand whether there is a valid claim or possible temporary solution, so that we can send out a 17.3. That's a notification informing the credit provider there was a change in circumstances and notifying them and asking for a grace period. But when the consumer goes quiet, the debt counselor has very little work to do, and we can't do anything about what happened in the past. We can only move forward what is happening in the future.
Well, I see there's a continuous ringing term that is coming up, and that is silence is incredibly expensive.
Very expensive. Silent can cost you legal protection, assets, progress, and peace of mind.
Now, this is the part where I think many people actually don't know. You mentioned credit life and income protection. Explain that in layman's or simple terms.
Credit life insurance is cover that may be attached to certain credit agreements, depending on the policy. It may cover events like death, disability, retrenchment, temporary inability to earn an income, or other insured events. So income protection is similar in the sense that it may assist when someone cannot earn an income for a valid reason, depending on the policy terms. Now, here is an important part. Many consumers do not even know what cover they have. They may be under debt review, lose their job, panic, stop paying, and never check whether there is insurance benefits available.
That is huge. So before someone misses a payment, they must ask, do I have cover?
Absolutely, but they must act quickly. Insurance claims often require documents, proof, claim forms, employer letters, medical documents, retrenchment notices. If you wait too long, you may miss important deadlines. In fact, there's a story. I mean, I had a consumer that approached us 12 months after they could have possibly claimed with their credit provider. They had credit life in place, but because they only realized that 12 months after the incident, they couldn't claim. And they would have been covered. They wouldn't have had summons. They wouldn't have lost their vehicle. They actually had cover, but they approached us too late, or they didn't even approach their credit provider because they didn't realize they had cover in place. So it is so important to know these things. And that is what the big benefit is of having a debt counselor on your side.
Probably a question that is arising in many people who are listening's mind, or just thought process to what they're hearing now on our segment currently. Give us examples of valid reasons why someone should contact their debt counselor immediately.
Retrenchment, big one. Short time at work, temporary layoff, serious illness, hospitalization. So important to have a next of kin that knows what's going on. So maybe you incapacitated, you can't inform your debt counselor, but there is someone is aware of your situation that can communicate. Disability, death of a spouse or income contributor. Maybe your spouse passed. Some of those policies will actually cover all the debt. Maternity related income change, a delayed salary, an employer payroll issue, a banking problem, a debit order issue, a once-off emergency that affects the monthly payment. The reason may be valid, but it must be communicated and supported with proof. And I want to hammer on that. We can't just state facts without proof. And each valid reason has a standard guideline of how it will be dealt with.
Well, Casper, you are a very articulate man, and you always explain things in a way that people can understand. Give us an analogy, please.
Debt review is like financial rehabilitation. Imagine you go to a physiotherapist after an injury. The physio gives you exercises. You cannot do them once and say, I'm healed. You need consistency. You can't just think, okay, once it's enough. Debt review is the same. The monthly payment is your financial exercise. Some months you may not feel like doing it. Some months it is uncomfortable, but consistency is what gets you strong again.
Another perspective to look at, let's talk about the emotional side. People often avoid communication because they feel embarrassed.
Yes, and that is very real. People feel ashamed. I think especially with us men, AJ, we're very embarrassed to talk about our personal issues. They think the debt counsel will judge them. They think, I failed again. But I want to say this clearly to the listeners. Do not let shame make your financial decisions. Your debt counselor is not there to shame you. A good debt counselor is there to guide you, protect the process, and help you make the best possible decision with the facts available. At DCGsa, we would rather have an honest conversation early than a crisis conversation later.
Oh man, that is a powerful statement. Shame keeps people silent, but communication keeps options open.
Exactly.
Well, Casper, we always like to bring this back to biblical wisdom. Is there a scripture that connects with today's topic?
Oh, I did this especially for Mr. K. He always jokes with me. I love Proverbs. So I think Proverbs 15 verse 22 is very relevant. Plans fail for the lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. And always surround you with advisors. That is exactly the point today. When you are in financial trouble, do not isolate yourself. And I think that's what so many people do. We isolate, we keep quiet. Rather get counsel. Speak to your debt counselor. Ask questions. Let somebody help you plan properly.
Casper, for someone who's not yet under debt review, but is already missing payments, juggling loans, borrowing from one account to pay another, or scared of losing their mode of transport, which is a vehicle, what should they do?
Or even opening another credit card just to put groceries on the table.
Yes.
Well, they should not wait until the situation becomes a legal crisis. The first step is not to sign up for debt review. No. The first step is to do a proper financial assessment. You cannot know where you are going or how to fix it if you don't know or you don't understand what is currently happening or where your shortfalls are. At DCGsa, we do not sell debt review as a quick fix. It's not, do a quick assessment and we sign you up. We encourage consumers to do an assessment so that they can understand their real position, their options, and the consequences of each option. Sometimes people need budgeting guidance. Sometimes they need negotiation. Sometimes debt review may be the right legal solution, but it starts with an assessment.
So the general message or the tone is do not guess, assess.
That's it.
Well, it's wonderful to be talking about this today. And today's reminder is simple. If you're under debt review, protect the process, make your payments. And if you cannot, speak to your debt counselor before you miss or short pay. Casper, thank you for making this so practical and understandable. Maybe a quick one. Any financial advice, maybe outside of the realm of debt, just general spending habits that can lead to the place of getting to debt review?
Jay, I think to every listener, especially in times like we're going through, and especially after COVID, remember you're not alone. If you are struggling, speak up early. There may be more help available than you realize. And sometimes you need to listen to that family member, that colleague that just needs an ear. So speak up, talk to somebody. That is the best advice I can give.
Casper le Grange, all the way from DCGsa, thank you for joining us in studio today.
Have a blessed one.
Well, you heard it there. And if you are considering debt review or you already are there, don't keep quiet. Communicate. If you're planning maybe to pay less than what you would have paid in a normal month, communication is key. Also, evidence is key. Don't just assume that the relevant authorities within the debt sector or even the credit sector will know exactly where to find the source of proof of what you're talking about if there's a reason to give. Communicate, plan. Remember, we not only are called to be Christians on other aspects of life only, but even in this realm of stewardship, which financial health is tied to, we are called to be good stewards of our finances. God cannot bless an irresponsible believer. And tune in every single Monday afternoon, just after 4:30, after your sport, which today, unfortunately, because of internet issues, I have to do a little bit later in the show, but it is coming. But usually when the day is normal, just after 4:30. And I believe Casper will be back with us in studio again. And we are going to listen to House Fires by Joy. And after that, we're going to get into your sport in a few minutes. Stay tuned. You're listening to Link FM, where we are linking people to Jesus and good debt advice.